Hello everyone, this is your daily dose of SBA. Alright everyone, today we're going to be talking about the obsolete, and I know it's really hard to take, but it's just the truth. The obsolete character, Katyusha. Let's get into it. Alright, so firstly, let's talk about what Katyusha is in the first place. What does she do? So Katyusha is a jack of all trades power forward who can do a lot of things, but not really excel at them. She can do a lot of things very well, and yeah, she can be very good at some things too, but yeah, Katyusha is a jack of all trades. She is one of the most versatile bigs in the entire game. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look into her abilities, her stats. So, as a power forward, her 3-point shot is 41. That's actually really good. And believe it or not, even if you don't give Katyusha, that much more 3-pointer, she's surprisingly going to sink a lot of her trees, even without any boosts. Yeah, that's right, even without a single boost, even without a single buff to her 3 points, she's still actually going to sink, I'd say, a good 45% of her 3-pointers, which is actually really good for a power forward. But yeah, her 3-point shot, 41, very good for a power forward. That's really good. So, her mid-range shot at 77, that's really good as well. That's one of the highest in the entire game, actually. So, she's a really good mid-range shooter. That's why her flash shot skill is really good. It's very effective because of this very high mid-range base stat of 77. That's really good. Her close shot stat of 76, that's very good as well. For a power forward, they tend to have a decent amount of close shot, but this is just really high. It's one of the highest in the entire game, again. So, Katyusha, really good with those layups. Really good at slashing and laying up the ball. So 56 dunk, that's a little lower than some power forwards, but that doesn't make her any less of a dunker. She's still going to sink most of those dunks in. So if you find the opportunity to dunk on someone or to just dunk openly, go ahead and do that. Don't be afraid. She's still gonna be able to actually get that to go in most of the time. So 56 dunk, a little lower than other power forwards, but still very much good, and you can still dunk with her consistently. So, steal at 22, that's pretty bad, but that's about to be expected. For the dribble, that's actually a little higher than other power forwards, but you still really shouldn't be holding the ball. Everybody can steal, even if you have a high dribble stat. Everybody can steal the ball from you at about 0.5 seconds at this point. It's pretty crazy out there, but yeah, just don't hold the ball. 30 pass, that's actually pretty low, but doesn't really matter. It's not her job to pass anyway, unless it's after faking. But yeah, 30 pass, about what you'd expect for a power forward. 44 speed, that's actually pretty decent for a power forward. That's some pretty decent speed, but she's still not going to be the fastest character out there. She's not going to be the fastest power forward, but 44 is very decent for a power forward. So we have 50 jump, that's actually pretty high. That's a pretty good jump stat for a power forward. This means she can lay up or dunk from a little further than other characters. It's not going to be that much further, but a little bit further nonetheless, so that's pretty good. 54 rebound, she's not a rebounder, but that's actually pretty decent rebound stat. So she can get the ball here and there if she's fighting, let's say, an Alto or a Ranger. A Nikolai, if she is having to rebound against them, she's still going to do a pretty decent job. So 54 rebound, pretty decent for a non-rebounder. 44 block, that's not that high, but again, she is mainly a scorer. She's not really there for defense, so 44 block, still appreciated. That's fine for a power forward that actually just specializes in scoring. 39 power, that's actually on the lower end. That's actually not that high at all. I'm pretty sure Havoc G has a better power stat than this. Some SFs a good amount of SF. Conan has a better power stat than this. 39, that's not really that much, but it's not her job to block dunks anyways. It's her job, again, mainly to score the ball. So 39 power, that's actually just to be expected again for a scoring power forward. So with all that being said, what do I think should you give Katyusha? In all honesty, I'd say that the main thing that you're gonna want to focus on giving Katyusha is probably, I'd say, her mid-range. She is going to have to take a lot of those, especially if you are at higher tier. It's going to be a lot harder to actually slash from the inside, especially against players that are actually experienced, players that can defend properly, defend very well. It's going to be a lot harder to actually try and slash inside. So increasing your mid-range, I'd say, is the most important thing here, but just almost as important is increasing her speed. Like I said before, she's a little faster than some power forward, but she's not going to be the fastest, so giving her much more speed is going to be very helpful, not only for defense, but also for offense, since again, she needs to slash, but she also needs to shoot those mid-range shots. So yeah, you need to give her speed, but also you want to give her speed because you also want to give her 3-point shot. So speed is going to help her out with shooting those 3-point shots, and you need to increase her 3-point shot just a little bit, just to make her a little more consistent with those wide open threes. And once she starts sinking those consistently, you have given her enough 3-point shot. So again, I want you to focus on giving her mid-range because that's what she's going to do most of the time. Give her speed as well, if not only a little more, maybe the same amount as mid-range shot. Speed is very important just for her defense and for offense in general as well. And lastly, give her enough 3-point shot where she can consistently make those wide open 3-point shots. So with these being said, let's go ahead and look into her different skills. Alright, here we are at Katyusha's ability tab. Let's go ahead and take a look into her abilities. So firstly, we have follow-up shot. This is available for all bigs. Very, very useful if you have the chance to actually get it. It can win you games with buzzer beaters. It's not really needed. It's not entirely mandatory to have. It's optional, but if you do have space for it, go ahead and get it. It can be useful. Next up is box out. Well, okay. Box out is in Chinese now, I guess, but yeah. Box out. Again, all bigs have this, all big men have this. Make sure to get this, even if you are just a Katyusha. This helps out your rebounder a lot, and your PG as well if you're trying to actually box out the other PG from getting the ball. When there's an FLR, when there's a loose ball, make sure to get this. It's very much useful. Even if Katyusha isn't supposed to be rebounding, this comes in very useful. Make sure to get box out. Next up, another ability available for all bigs, flick. And just like box out, even if it's not her job to actually rebound, make sure to get this. It makes it so much harder for the opposing big to actually get rebounds if you know how to time it properly. It comes in useful. Again, Katyusha's job is not really to rebound, but make sure to get flick as well. So let's go ahead and get into her exclusive abilities. So firstly, we have quick flash shot. The same as Fire King. This is really, really useful, very much needed. It's her most important ability, in my opinion. It's what makes Katyusha such a dangerous scorer in the first place, which, let's be honest, there are other more dangerous scorers, but yeah, this is what gives her most opportunities to actually score. It's when you fake with this or shoot this. This is pretty accurate. This is a pretty accurate shot. Make sure to max this out as soon as possible. Make sure to get this. This will open up opportunities for you to actually score the ball. So, next up is multiple pumps. This is basically a double pump that can be used on her layups or on her mid-range shots. Make sure to get this as well. It's her first level 4. This is just very much important just so you have the extra ability to actually shoot the ball without getting blocked if someone is in front of you. Make sure to get this. It's very much needed, especially with her second skill, Smart Layup. This is her second level 4 skill. This is very much important as well. This is your main way of scoring as a Katyusha. I know I said mid-range is going to be your main shots, but that's because if you that would be the case if you are actually being defended by a high tier defender. But even so, Smart Layup, you're still going to need it. It's going to be your main scoring weapon most of the time. You're going to need to max this skill out. You're just going to have to max it out as soon as you can, just like double pump or her multiple pump. Make sure to max out these two skills as soon as you can because they are going to be very important. Lastly, we have her Tricky Post Up 2. It's pretty much just a worse version of Friedman's Tricky Post Up. It's not mandatory. I wouldn't say this one is mandatory since it's incredibly ineffective. It's incredibly inaccurate. They buffed it, but that buff really didn't do that much anyway. Let's be honest. It's still not a good skill. It's still very inaccurate, and I don't think it's fair how slow her shooting speed is. They have to buff it, make it about as fast as Friedman's to make it actually usable, because right now it's still not a good skill to have. You're gonna miss a lot of your shots if you do this, even if you give her max mid-range. It's not that good. But if you can get it, if you have the extra space for it, go ahead and get that. It may come in useful, but yeah, it's not the most important skill out there, but you know, it may come in useful. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and look into a match where I use some of these skills, and let's talk about Katyusha some more. Alright, so firstly, let's talk about the teammates that you're gonna want to get when you actually play with Katyusha. And even though I've said that she's actually obsolete compared to other scorers like Silverwolf or Amanda, she's still going to be the main scorer. She is going to be the main scorer still on your team, and with that, I'd say it's best to still pair her up with a good big and a point guard, a pure point guard, not a shooting guard who has dive. I still think it's better if you pair up Katyusha with a pure point guard because Katyusha is still going to be your main scorer. It's still her job to score the ball most of the time. Again, her defense is just fine. It's not the best, and it's not her job to actually defend that well either. But yeah, your main goal as a Katyusha is to score, so I'd say pair her up with a good big and a pure point guard, and you will be just fine as long as the Katyusha knows what they're doing. I'd say the best point guards to give her is someone like Lily or Mo Chen, who can sprint and make their own scoring opportunities. And the better big to actually give with her is not a rebounder. I'd say you're better off with having a defensive power forward, someone like Nikolai or Ranger or Alto. Especially Alto or Ranger, I think it'd be better to actually have them team up with Katyusha or at least someone like that, because you're not going to be missing a lot of those smart layups anyway. And like I've said before, her flash shot is actually very accurate, so you're actually going to be very good even if you are contested with those mid-range shots. As long as you have good mid-range stat, you're going to be making a lot of those. So again, with point guard, you're going to want to use a pure point guard that can actually make their own scoring opportunities like Mo Chan or Lily. And with the big, you're going to want a defensive power forward. It doesn't need to be a rebounder, but a defensive power forward. You know, a character like Alto, Elise, or Ranger. Now, let's talk about the matchups that you're going to want to get or avoid. And with matchups that you're going to want to get, you're actually going to want to get characters that are good shooters, you know. Characters like, let's say, Marcus or Fire King. Those characters that are pretty fast, but they only really are good at shooting, and they're not that good at blocking layups or dunks. You're going to want to get those characters. You may struggle a little bit with defending them, but Like I've said before, Katyusha is actually a little faster than some other power forwards, so you still have a better chance of defending them than they have of defending you. So again, I'd say the matchup that you're going to want to get are those good shooters. And with the matchups that you're going to want to avoid, you are not going to want to fight defensive power forwards. You are not going to want to fight Alto, Nikolai, Ranger, Elise. They will shut you down. They will be the ones that just keep on locking you down. It's going to be hard to actually go up against them. You're not going to want to go against them. Dunkers may give you trouble as well because they are taller than other characters, so they can wait for that double pump or just jump against that smart lay and block it a little easier than other characters, so you might have some trouble against dunkers as well. But the one that you're really going to want to avoid are those defensive power forwards. You are not going to want to actually face those guys. And in terms of meta, Katyusha is not meta. Like I've said before, she's actually obsolete. I'm not saying that she's a bad scorer. She's still actually very solid. But compared to other scorers that are currently in the game, she just really doesn't stack up that well against them, you know? Characters like Randy, who can also, they're pretty much exactly like her, in which they're also jack of all trades, you know? They can do pretty much anything that they want. They can slash and dunk, layup, mid-range, or even 3 points. Silverwolf can do that as well. They're just much better options since they are more versatile with passing and such. And they go very much better with other characters as well, and their defense is a little better too, since they are faster. And they can score just as well as Katyusha, if not better. So Katyusha is not meta, but she can still be effective if used properly. So I wouldn't say she's going to be easy to use and win with, but you can still see some success as long as you know what you're doing with her. So anyways guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this has been helpful. I hope that you've been entertained by it somehow, and I'll catch you on the next one.